Hey guys, I'm Erin Chambers. I play Frances Bacon McCausland in Disney's Don't Look Under the Bed, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So I am so excited to be joined by today's guests. Today we're going to be talking all things the classic Disney Channel original movie, Don't Look Under the Bed with Frances herself, Erin Chambers. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Erin.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome. So, yeah, I mean, we're kind of, talking about it before we like jumped on. I mean, this film, it definitely had an impact on a lot of people growing up. It was definitely played a big part in me becoming the horror fan that I am today. And so I wanted to kind of just start off, go back to the beginning. What was the audition process like for the film? And did you audition for anybody else in the film? Because I know sometimes you'll go out, for different characters. So what did that all look like for you?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. I actually auditioned for the role of Zoe originally,
Okay.
the doll imaginary friend that comes to life at the very end of the movie.
Yep.
And when I went to the audition, the casting director was like, I really like you, but I think I see you more as the main girl," which was younger than than Zoe the doll. And I mean, I was 19 at the time, but I still looked really young. And he's like, I know you're not quite the right age, but I just want to have you read for the producers because I really like you and I think that this would be a good fit for you. And so I read for the producers and they had the same reaction as the casting director. They were like, we really like you. And I think I went back again for like an additional callback. And then the next thing I knew, they were like, we're going to fly you out to LA. Because at the time I lived in Utah. I was going to school. I was a college student. And so I had never experienced anything like this where people really liked me or like flying me to a different state for a part. So it was just so unlike any other kind of casting process that I had ever been a part of. And I remember going to the Disney Channel studios and having like the big final callback there and seeing lots of other people in the waiting room and just trying to kind of focus and do my own thing. And Ty was there and he was auditioning as well. And then at the very end, they brought us both in and they said, Frances, meet Larry, Larry, meet Frances. And that's how
Wow.
they told us that we got the parts.
That's really cool because I feel like that doesn't always like necessarily happen too, where they'll tell you
No.
right there. So that's pretty cool. They guys got to know and they didn't torture you by making you wait for a little bit.
No, oh gosh, so many times you're like waiting forever. And yeah, no, that's never happened to me before where I found out on that day in the room with the people. And Frances originally was supposed to be 12, and because I was 19, they upped her age a little bit. So I was actually a 19-year-old playing a 14-year-old, not a 12-year-old.
So that's pretty cool that I mean they liked you so much with what they saw. They're like, you know what, we're gonna rework like the story and stuff a little bit to, like you said, just bump up the age like slightly because they
Yeah.
like your performance so much. So that's really cool.
I mean, so many times in stories, there really isn't a lot of leeway with stuff like that. But every now and then, when the part is you've got the right person for the right part, I don't know,
They'll
they
make it
make a,
work. Yeah,
yeah, it was really
exactly.
flattering. It was fun.
And I mean, I know you said it was kind of, you had never had anything like this before, but what did it just mean for you to be a part of a Disney Channel original movie? Because I know for me growing up, these things were huge. Like me and my friends, I mean, I watched every single one of these. It's like every Friday or Saturday that would come out and they would premiere, would watch them at my house or be over a friend's like sleeping over or something. And that was like, we're looking forward to that thing the whole week. So what did that kind of mean to you just to be a part of a project like this?
Oh, it meant a lot. I mean, up until this point, I had never been the lead of a film. I had played smaller parts in bigger movies and just I don't know how to explain this, but it just kind of opened my mind to the possibilities of like, oh wow, you can carry a story, you can carry a movie, and I didn't really realize I had that in me. It gave me a lot of confidence as an actor, and yeah, just to be a part of the franchise, not the franchise, but just a part of the Disney Channel family meant a lot too. Because like you, I grew up watching. Even though I'm probably a little bit older than you, I remember all the movies coming out, and I had younger siblings, and so yeah, it was incredibly exciting to realize I'm going to be a part of something really special.
And I mean, these were some of the earlier like Disney Channel original movies. I know because they what are they on now? Like I think they're over they a couple years ago they did like 100 and they've hit like the 100 mark for like the Disney Channel like original movies.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so it's like, but I'm pretty sure Don't Look Under the Bed, those like that, Under Wraps, those were like some of like the earlier ones and still like some of my, favorites like to this day. Um Now I'm curious for you. I know you said you were like a little bit older, but like growing up, were you afraid of like the boogeyman or like the monster under the bed or
Yes.
was it something else?
Oh yeah, no, I had convinced myself that I had to jump into my bed from like maybe a few feet away from it because if I just stood under my bed, some feet would grab me. Just kind of like they show in the movie. There's that shot where Darwin is sitting on the bed and his legs are dangling and then you see the hand. I mean, oh yeah, I grew up with that fear. And I also had a fear of like a an old lady. I don't know why it was an old lady, but like an old lady in a closet in my hallway. And so I'd zoom past the hallway really fast just in case she was in there to like grab me.
Yeah, no.
We tell ourselves at night when you're little. I mean, I guess I'll just tell myself I had a great imagination.
Yeah,
Very
yeah. And
fun.
so did when you were working on the film, did that kind of like bring back some like memories, like seeing those shots of like the feet like dangling under the bed and you're like, "Oh man, that I used to be terrified of that as like a kid."
I don't think so because when you're making a movie or a TV show or anything and you're on set, everything is so it's like mapped out and planned and so that's what's so great about movie magic is then when you sit back and you watch it, you see all these elements come together that really make it scary. But while we were shooting on set, I think the only thing that was unnerving to me was the day that Ty had to wear the purple contacts.
Yeah.
That was scary. I didn't like that.
Yeah, no, and that's something that we're definitely going to get into too. But yeah, I know what you mean. I've gotten to do like a couple like extra like background like roles, and yeah, it's really cool just to kind of see things put together. Like I worked on a film a couple years ago where it was supposed to take place in the fall, but it was like the middle of summer. It was like July, and it was like 90 degrees out when we were filming. And it's supposed to be a funeral scene, and you just see someone with like a bag of leaves and then like a giant fan, and they're just dropping the leaves down, and it falls below, and you're like. Oh, okay. So that's how they make it look like it fall like it's fall.
Right.
But it's yeah, it's really cool to kind of so I understand, yeah, like kind of being there kind of not like ruins like the movie magic because you're there, but it's just a whole different thing like once you get to see it like afterwards, everything all put together.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just is a great testament to the teamwork of filmmaking. You know, so many things have to come together, the music, the editing to really make something feel scary. Because just on set, doing some of those shots, I mean, it's like one minute we were ourselves and then the next action we're in the scene. Like it's
Yeah.
just different. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
for sure. And you were saying, or actually, you were saying, so Frances starts out the film where, she's has like an illogical explanation for everything. I'm kind of curious, like, where do you fall on that? Are you more of someone who thinks there is like a logical explanation for everything, or do you believe in any of the supernatural? Like, where do you kind of fall in that aspect?
I think I'm probably a mix of both. I feel like I've had certain experiences in my life that lead me to feel like there is something besides us at
Yeah.
work, you know? Um, but also I see science in effect every day.
Yep.
You know? So yeah, probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, I'm probably in the same with you where like I had experience like years ago where I went to I've like told this channel or told this story on my like channel before, but basically I went with some friends to like these old bunkers and we went in there, had brand new flashlights and everything. We got in this one room and all the flashlights went out at the same time and we couldn't get them to come back on for probably like a good minute and then they all popped back on at the same time.
Oh gosh.
And so we were just kind of like, okay, well, I think maybe it's time to get out of here. And I love that stuff, but it's one thing to I think like read about it or even like watch movies about it, but to actually be there in person and have something
Oh,
like that happen is like a whole different experience.
oh yeah. I mean, just kind of piggybacking off that, I grew up in an area where people were always talking about this house not far from my house. And it was something that was just built up and talked about. And I was like, yeah, it's probably not that scary, you know? And then one night I ended up going over there with some friends and it was so unsettling and so scary. And I don't know what happened at that house, but bad stuff happened at that house. And
Just had a bad
yeah,
vibe.
Yeah, really bad vibes. And so yeah, I think like until you experience something like that, it just doesn't feel as real, maybe.
Yeah, no, I agree for sure. And you were talking about, like Ty, so Ty Hodges, who plays Larry in the film, he brought such like an energy to this character and his performance, and you guys just had great chemistry with each other. So what was it like, getting to work with him on the film, like overall having him as a scene partner?
We had a blast together. I think what made it so great was that Frances and Larry were so like they were polar opposites in many ways, but were, focused and connected in solving the problem together, and they worked really well together. She brought, the logic, the logic brain, and he brought the creativity. And then together, the two of them, they were able to, you know, defeat the boogeyman. But he was really fun. We really became really fast friends on the film and just we worked so well together and had a blast.
Yeah, I mean, you can just like tell, like watching the film that, like I said, you guys like the chemistry that you have. What was your reaction to, and you kind of like hinted at it, what was your reaction seeing the Boogeyman for the first time, but then also seeing like Ty's slow transformation into the Boogeyman throughout as the film kind of goes on?
I mean, I was surprised because as an actor, you're not always a part of those meetings and decisions. And so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. Are you saying the boogeyman, like as in Steve Valentine's boogeyman?
Yeah, yep, him and Ty, yeah, separately.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I had a little bit of idea of what he was going to look like because I remember in the beginning, Kenny Johnson, our amazing director, was kind of keeping us in the loop with what he had in mind for the boogeyman's just like wardrobe and overall look. And I remember thinking, oh, this is so cool. That's not really what I would have imagined, but it's so creative and different and interesting. And with Ty, I remember being really surprised because I just wasn't expecting it to look so scary.
Yeah.
Like, because he had the teeth and the eyes. And I don't remember if they told me that day that we would be doing it. And I'm always so focused on what I have to prepare
Yeah.
for the day. And so it just really shocked me and kind of took me by surprise that day that we shot those scenes.
Maybe they kind of probably did that like on purpose just to kind of get a real reaction from you, seeing him for the first time.
Yeah. Well, and just to piggyback off that too, there's a scene in the movie where we're in the boogie world and I'm dragging Darwin, I think, and he's in the sock. And we're moving and moving. And I remember Kenny saying, our director, and then you're going to kind of just move him over to this area. They didn't tell me that there was going to be a big loud noise and a pop.
Oh, jeez.
So as I'm dragging him, and then I can't remember what it is in the movie. I'd have to see it again to know specifically, but I just remember a sound happening and like almost like some smoke. I had no idea that was happening. And so my reaction in that shot is for real. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's that's
I think
awesome.
sometimes they do keep stuff from actors. I mean, I don't think they would want to put anybody in danger,
Yeah.
but you can get a real reaction. Why not?
Oh yeah, for sure. It just adds to the authenticity. So that I see. I love that kind of stuff, the little behind the scenes like tidbits, because now like going back and rewatching the film, it's like I'm gonna look for that moment that you're
Yeah.
talking about specifically. So I mean, the Boogie World itself looked like such a fun set, between like you guys riding in like the car going throughout the Boogie World, but just like the way that it looks. Can you just talk about the experience of getting to work on like those? I don't know if it was like all like one set or if it was like, multiple sets, but just that experience.
It was one big giant set. And I guess if you could just imagine like a warehouse, like
Yeah.
like a Costco warehouse, that was like the size of it. And I remember that the peanut butter and jelly sandwich was my favorite thing to walk on because it was like very soft. There wasn't really much of a bounce in it. And like it was really comfortable. You could sit, you could lay. And just seeing all the little things. I mean, there's so many little details I mean, it really is a testament to the production designer who really put a lot of thought and effort into this because it's like, what could you possibly find under a
Under
child's bed? And they thought of everything.
Yeah, there was like the like little like tentacles or like worms or something that came out and like kind of grabbed your feet, I believe, like at one point when you're walking across like the sandwich and stuff like that too. Now, when you guys, I was that like it was like green screen when you guys are riding in the cart? Did you have like kind of green screen behind you
Yeah.
guys?
Oh gosh, this was so long ago, so it's hard to remember exactly, but I do remember doing some shots like practical shots of
Yep.
us in the little car and making this like I don't know if you remember that shot, but like they're going in a circle and you see some sparks.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And I really wanted to do that. And they were like, well, we probably will need your stunt double. And I was like, no, no, I can do it. I can do it. And so I really pushed to do as many of the stunts as possible because I had never done stunt work before for a project. And so I really wanted to be a part of it and like see what that's like.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we also had some shots in the car where we were just stationary, pretending to move and going back and forth that they later put with the green screen.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that looked like it was just like a lot of fun too. But yeah, I know exactly that moment. And yeah, I imagine like being like you said, it was like your first film where you were like the lead and stuff. It's like just let me do everything. I want to do everything like in the film if you guys will let me.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I was actually I don't think I was trying to remember if I remembered this off the top of my head, but I came across it on YouTube. So you did this feature called it was Wicked Weekend at the Haunted Mansion that played during like the commercial breaks, like during the film. What do you like remember about that experience? Was that actually at the Haunted Mansion? And like, can you just talk about that experience overall?
Oh, it was really fun. I was in school and I got the call. Disney wants to have you come out to Disneyland and shoot in the Haunted Mansion and do this little weekend special that promotes all the Halloween movies for the season. And obviously, don't look under the bed. And I was like, I'm totally down for that. And so we did a lot of night shoots. It was all night shoots. And so getting to be in the Haunted Mansion when there's nobody there, we're just like
Creepy.
walking around and walking. Oh, it was so creepy and it was so fun. I had a
Oh,
blast.
oh yeah, I can imagine. But yeah, I stumbled across that and it's like, I mean, I don't know. I don't really watch like Disney as much like the channel like anymore. And now they have like Disney Plus. But like growing up, I just remember all of those like little like bits between like the commercials and stuff like that, the promos that they had for all the Disney Channel original movies, and that just it just added so much to the whole thing. It's like
Oh yeah.
even the commercials, it's like sometimes like nowadays, like a commercial comes on, you're like, all right, I'm gonna go like, grab some food or something like that. But this really kept you engaged, throughout the film and even throughout like the commercial breaks and stuff like that. So, but I was curious, like if that was actually done there. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. It's funny you mentioned that because this is the 25th anniversary. And my husband asked me the other day, he's like, so when are you going back to the Haunted Mansion and doing the 25th anniversary? I was like, I'm waiting for the call.
That
I'll be
Come on, guys, Disney, make it happen. You know what? I'm glad that the film, is now on Disney Plus. But for years, like almost, there's very few of the Disney Channel original movies that got released like VHS. I know some did, some got released like on DVD. I don't think
there.
there's like any for Blu-ray. And then I don't know if it's just like a rights issue, but it's like I wish they would just almost release like a whole box set of like, you know, all the like the 90s 2000s ones, but I'm sure there's probably some reason why they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I don't know why. I remember thinking too, after it kind of stopped playing as often up until Disney Plus, it was hard for people to watch it. I had a lot of people
Yeah.
ask me, oh, I really want to watch your movie. How do I watch it? And I'm like, I think I have a VHS copy of my own, but it's not like I'd love a DVD with like the cover art and everything, but it doesn't
Yeah.
exist
Yeah. So again, come on, Disney. We gotta get on these
on
things.
Disney.
'Cause I'm a big physical media person, and it's like so I would love to have that, on like my shelf.
You
And
and me both.
speaking of like it stopped kind of airing. So I think it was like 2006 that I saw that it kind of had stopped airing regularly and it was because I guess a lot of parents complained that it was too scary for children.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of like adds to like the myth that this like this like movie has kind of like developed like over the years and it was like oh it was like the scariest Disney Channel original movie and everything. What was like your reaction when you first heard about this like happening that people were so scared of the movie?
I was honestly surprised. Because like I said before, like when you're on set and you're working, it's hard to get an idea of how scary something is going to be because you're there, you're watching it all come together and I'm so focused on my work and the performance aspect of it. I'm not thinking, oh, this is going to be really scary. You know what I mean? So I when I saw the movie, I loved it, and then I started hearing from because I'm the oldest of four girls, and so a lot of my sisters And my sister's friends would tell me, oh, it's too scary. I couldn't watch it. And, oh my gosh, it's just so scary. And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, I guess it's scary. Yeah, it is kind of scary. It just, I don't know. There was a little bit of a disconnect for me at first. And it's interesting because I have an 8 and a 6-year-old, and I just showed them the movie for the first time, maybe a couple years ago.
Yep.
And I was very prepared for them to be scared. And I was preparing them for the Boogeyman. And I just think kids these days are maybe a little bit more exposed. I don't know. They
Yeah.
weren't scared. They were not scared at all. They're like, this is fun.
Wow. I mean, props to your kids because yeah, it's like I was telling you, I know so many people that I had like posted about it, recently, and they were just like, "Oh my God, that movie gave me nightmares and
Yeah.
all this stuff." And yeah, I mean, maybe it is that case because so I'll like see like little kids like we decorate and stuff for Halloween, and kids will know who like Pennywise the clown is and stuff. And I'm talking like little kids, and I'm
Yeah.
like, wow. I was like, yeah, I mean that wasn't something like growing up. I mean, I watched horror and stuff like growing up, but I don't know, yeah, maybe they just have like more access to it with the streaming and stuff.
I think there's more access. And I think especially if you have older siblings too, it's hard to keep that away. Like
Yeah.
my son, we're very I wouldn't say strict, but we're very protective about what they see.
Yeah.
And he comes home and tells me how he's 8 and he's got friends at school talking about Pennywise and it,
Yeah.
and talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, which we would never allow him to watch. And it's like, who are these parents?
Yeah, no, I mean it's crazy. Just like I'm always surprised. I'm like, I was at a Halloween store the other day because they just started opening up and I heard like this like little kid and actually the parent had the reaction. She was like, "How do you know who Pennywise is?" And so like they didn't even know how and he's like, I think he said, I just know or something. So I'm sure it's like, friends or something like that. But yeah, it's just that, but that's interesting though that now like this like the generation like coming up like now that maybe it isn't quite as scary, but I'm sure that must have felt nice for you at when you first kind of heard of that. You're like, wow, I made a really scary movie that terrified people.
I kind of liked it. And like you said, the myth around it, it was Don't Look Under the Bed was kind of the first really scary kids movie.
Yeah,
That wasn't, well, when I say kids movie, it wasn't PG-13, it wasn't R,
yeah,
but it was for kids, but it really kind of pushed the envelope in that way. And so I felt really proud to be a part of something that was pushing the envelope a little bit.
yeah. And honestly, I wish that I hope that we maybe get some more of that from like Disney too, because I feel like sometimes, especially when it comes more to like the horror aspects, they can be a little, might not go like quite as like dark or and it's like you got to give credit kids credit, like you said. I mean, like your kids watched it and they weren't scared at all, so it's like give kids credit. I think that you'll be surprised like what they might be interested in.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's funny, they weren't afraid of Don't Look Under the Bed, but when we showed them Labyrinth, they were terrified of the goblins.
Well, I mean, I could understand that. Like all the practical effects. I mean, but there was practical effects and Don't Look Under the Bed too. So, I mean, it's different for everybody. I know, like for me growing up, I used to watch like a show called like Are You Afraid of the Dark on
Oh
Nickelodeon.
yeah, I
That
watched that.
was like kind of pretty much how I got into like between that and like the Universal classic black and white monster movies. But
Mhm.
the Are You Afraid of the Dark? There was one episode in particular. It was called Dead Man's Float and it was about this pool where this like demon thing like lived in the water and it was drowning kids.
Oh
And
my
at the time, I was taking swimming lessons at the
God.
YMCA when I saw this episode. And I just remember like my parents will like say this too, that I remember going there like the next day and I was just like, I'm not going in the pool. It's gonna grab me and drown me. And yeah, that scared the crap out of me for like quite a while.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I would imagine.
But yeah, so it's like it's yeah, everybody's got something like different. Yeah, I'm glad that have you kind of noticed with the film getting its release on Disney Plus, have you noticed the film almost having like a second life with people reaching out to you, discovering the film for the first time?
I don't know about the first time. I mean, just the other day I was at the grocery store and I was checking out and the checker looked at me and she said, I know you. You're an actor. Are you an actor? And I just kind of smiled and I was like, yeah. And she goes, Don't Look Under the Bed. That's what you're from. I love that movie. And I was like, oh, thank you. And I told her my name and she gave me hers and I said goodbye. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to have people reach out and bring it up because it's not something, I mean, it was 25 years ago. It's not like
Yeah.
It's not something I just did yesterday.
Yeah, what is it? And like, I guess like speaking of just like the anniversary, because it's celebrating its 25th anniversary this year. So what does that just kind of like mean to you to be a part of a project like this that's, has such this legacy to it and people are, watch it every year with, with their kids and stuff like that. And it's just such a celebrated film overall.
Well, I knew when I was filming it that it was going to be really special because it wasn't just a scary movie. There was actually like a really great message.
Yeah.
And it had a lot of heart and it was intelligent, I think, for its time. And so I always felt like it was special and I always felt really honored to be a part of it. And then as I've grown up and done other projects, I've always looked back on that with just the fondest memories. I couldn't have had a better experience with the crew, the cast, my director. It was such a wonderful experience. And I remember thinking before I got married and had children, I would love to show my kids this one day. This is something that I could share with them. And I just did a couple years ago. And I just I feel so grateful that I was able to be a part of it.
And that's awesome that you get to, do that now, like you said. And congratulations on the film, celebrating its 25th anniversary. It's not too many films that I feel like that you come across that had that kind of legacy or that, where people look back and are like, oh yeah, like I watch that every year. That kind of becomes like a tradition for, for people to watch, like with like Hocus Pocus and stuff like that. And I have to ask you too, where, obviously we're starting to get into like the fall and that season. Do you have any kind of like Halloween traditions that you do? Is there any kind of like favorite candies or anything like that, just like in general?
Well, I love fall because it's cooler. Well, it's supposed to be cooler, and I
Yes.
love wearing sweaters. But in Los Angeles, we really don't get fall until I would say around Thanksgiving.
Oh, geez.
The first week of December. It's still really hot here. But we love to carve pumpkins. We love to decorate. My kids are very much into we need more Halloween decorations, mom. And so every year I always buy a little bit more and try to, outdo the year before. And when my kids were younger, I liked the idea of having like a themed family costume. And so the first year we had my boy, we did Game of Thrones and he was Drogon, the
Uh,
dragon, and Khaleesi. And then my husband was the Jorah character,
yeah.
Jorah Mormont, like her little advisor. And then the next year we did something else. And then the next year we did something else. And then as my kids have gotten older, they're like, I don't want to do what you want to do, mom. I want to just do my own thing. Or I'm so sorry. I've had a little cold
Oh, no
recovery.
worries.
Um, or they just want to do their own thing, or they want to tell me what I'm going to be for Halloween now. Like, oh, I'm going to be this character and you're going to be that character, mom.
And you're like, oh, okay, that's weird how the tables have like kind of turned on that.
I guess so. So yeah, lots of thought goes into the costumes and I love Halloween. I think it's so fun. Favorite candy? Anything with Reese's. I
Reese's,
love.
okay, yeah, I mean that's classic for sure. Have you ever had I'm curious, like, over the years, have you ever had anyone show up at your door as far as the like dressed as either like the Boogeyman or like one of the characters from the film?
No,
No.
that's never happened, but I'm not going to rule anything out. Maybe that'll happen someday. I don't know.
That'd be pretty cool. Well, hey, that's awesome. I'm myself, a big horror fan. I love Halloween. So the fact when you were saying your kids, wanting to get more and more decorations every year, we always go all out with the yard. We used to do like a kind of like a haunted house, like for like years, like that would go in the backyard and stuff. So I'm right there with you guys. Well, yeah, and just to kind of wrap things up for you, Erin, is there anything else that you would like to say, about Don't Look Under the Bed, or if there's any other projects that you have coming up, in the future that you'd like to share with people?
I have some things that I'm working on, but nothing that I can really announce at the moment. But no, I guess if any of the fans are wanting to know, I'm so grateful that the Don't Look Under the Bed has stayed with them and made an impact on them. And I love it when people stop me and go, "Hey, oh my gosh, I love Don't Look Under the Bed." It really does mean a lot to hear from the fans and to know that you made an impact on somebody's life. So yeah.
You definitely made, like I said, you definitely made an impact on mine. So, Erin, just thank you so much again for taking time out of your schedule and coming on here. This is definitely, you made my inner child very happy just getting to
Oh,
talk to you and watching, like I said, it's something that I watch like every single year. So thank you so much for your time, and you're welcome back anytime in the future.
Oh my gosh, I'd love to come back. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
Hey guys, I'm Erin Chambers. I play Frances Bacon McCausland in Disney's Don't Look Under the Bed, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.